Welcome to the Monday Brain Dump. This week we're talking, as we did last week, about taking down an opponent who's standing inside your guard. Again, I have Brad Wilson here with me. Thanks for being here, Brad.
Hi, guys.
Uki extraordinaire. Thank you. This week we're going to talk about De La Riva, and we're going to talk about what my friend calls caterpillar guard. It's kind of a reverse De La Riva situation. So a little bit more intermediate takedowns, but nothing that anybody can't do. None of these require inhuman strength or flexibility. And that's good jiu-jitsu. All right, so let's jump right in. So the De La Riva guard is generally comes down to the hook that I create that wraps around the leg here, okay? And a lot of times people see this for the first time and they think, well, I'm not that flexible, which leads us to like the first point that actually Brad and I were just discussing here, which is it's not just that you want to wrap this around. This is pretty easy for Brad to defeat. Yeah, it doesn't take much to turn his leg and then my toes don't reach anymore. So what I want to do anytime I'm entering this position is get a little momentum, swing in, and get sort of an angle in here. What I'm doing with my other foot is going to be a number of things, okay? But what we're going to do for today is going to come down to essentially off-basing my opponent by pushing away, right? This starts to mess with Brad's base. And we're going to do 3 De La Riva sweeps today. This is just the position. Let's look at some sweeps. So the first De La Riva sweep that we're going to do is going to involve me having a grip on the far sleeve. The reason I show this one first is it's a pretty high likelihood that the far sleeve goes someplace I can predict, which is to say, when I'm pushing on his leg, a lot of people are going to deal with that leg first. And I can grab this sleeve now. If he had a grip, I could kick it off and put it back on, but now I have this far sleeve. Okay, now still messing with his base here by stretching him out. This hand is gripping his heel. And I'm going to be able to turn him. He'll catch himself on the one hand, but it generally will not be enough to stop me from getting up. From here, I usually cut my knee and come up to some kind of side mount. But for now, let's focus on knocking our guy over. One more time. I've got a hold of the Achilles. I've put my De La Riva hook in nice and deep. That's by bringing my body out to an angle. And I'm pushing on the knee. His sleeve's going to be someplace I can predict because it's predictable that they get rid of my foot, whether it's a hook or a push. And from here, I'm going to grab his sleeve, kick free if he had a grip, put it back, and stretch him out. This one's going this way. This one's going this way. And using my De La Riva hook and using my hands, the hand is actually a big piece of it. You can think of it like turning a doorknob. I'm going to turn him and continue turning him until he turns over, at which point I'll be able to get on top. So I go to put my De La Riva hook in. I don't just wrap my foot around. My foot doesn't reach either. But I have to move me and get to here. I start stretching him out. He starts to get rid of my foot. I find that sleeve. I kick free and go back. Now this is a pull and a push. This creates the side of his body as basically a hinge he'll roll over. And now this is turning over. And he rolls and I end up on top. From here, I'm essentially, for me, I like to cut this top knee to the ground to pin his leg where it is. This is essentially an underhook now, and you could go right to a Kesagatame or to a top side now. Second sweep we're going to do from De La Riva. It's going to start the same way in terms of setup, but I'm going to have his near sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to set up my De La Riva by getting out to the angle. I'm holding the Achilles, and this time I get a hold of his near sleeve. Okay, from here I'm going to pass this to my other hand behind his leg by sitting up, and I sit up. When I sit up, I put my leg between his legs, pass the sleeve, and I create a grip here behind his leg. And now this hand's going to go under his leg here, and I can roll him over right there. So starting with our setup, I'm going to hold his heel. I'm going to get a good De La Riva hook by coming out to the side, and now the near sleeve is the one that I'm getting control over. I'm going to sit up and pass this sleeve through to my other hand, get a nice cat's paws grip with this hand here. And now I'm going to dive, I'm going to dive underneath and get a grip on his leg here and just roll over this way. It's almost like I'm pulling knee on belly, but I'm doing so where he doesn't have a hand to catch himself and he will roll through. So it's pull knee on belly almost. Got my partner standing in front of me. I decide to set up De La Riva. I hold his foot. Cut this angle, and I'm pushing on this knee to mess with his base, but it's the near sleeve that I have here. I'm going to kick myself up, put this foot between his legs, and pass this behind his leg to my other hand. up, pass, and hold on here. And now it's almost like I'm pulling knee on belly, pulling him onto knee on belly, where I dive underneath, I hold his leg, and I roll through, keeping my grip on his sleeve. When I start this sweep and I set up my De La Riva, if Brad's holding my collar, it's possible that I want to break that grip to start, boom, and then sit up and do it, because it's going to be very hard to pass his hand through. Obviously, if he's got a grip here, I can't move it. The last sweep that I'll show you from De La Riva will finish sort of a triad of basic De La Riva sweeps for you: far sleeve, near sleeve, and no sleeve. If I've got this position here, I set up De La Riva, but there isn't a sleeve to grab because he's protecting his hands. It's possible that I decide to go a different direction. I try to grab this, he pulls it away. Yep. It's possible I go to a different direction. Now, this might be his lapel. I might pull his lapel out and pass it. You could even just use their belt. So this is a gi move. I can grab his belt and I can sit up. I'm gonna all the time stretching him out, sit up and hold on to the belt here. And then I'm gonna bring my legs, my feet to face outside my opponent. My feet are facing outside my opponent, and I'm gonna stand up in base, keeping his leg between my legs and keeping my grip on the belt here. From here, I'm just gonna turn. From here, I'm gonna get a grip on the collar. I'm gonna turn him down this way. And when we land, the idea of keeping this collar grip and cutting this knee across into sort of a knee cut pass. So for our third setup, it's gonna start the same way. I'm gonna cut this angle. I can't get a sleeve. There is no near sleeve, there is no far sleeve, yes, because he's protecting. So I'm gonna sit up and pass his belt or lapel to myself underneath. And I'm gonna switch my feet to point to the outside. Feet point outside, and I'll stand up in base. Pick up his leg between my legs, and the takedown's gonna be here. Hold on to, actually let's turn a little bit. I'm holding his collar, and we turn him. When we land here, I'm gonna cut this knee across. And I want my elbow either tight to me or to fill this space right here, as if underhooking, but I'm keeping the collar in my hand. So last time, the setup on this no sleeve De La Riva sweep is gonna be holding onto the Achilles, get my angle, I'm pushing on his foot. When I sit up, coming in, it's better to come in sort of toward the side of the knee than to try to sit up here where he can drive me back down. So we're trying to sit up into the side of his knee more. Stand up in base, hold the collar, turn and take him down, and immediately start the knee cut, my elbow tight to me, or can actually fill this space as an underhook and finish taking side mount there. My friend Jay Bell calls this a caterpillar guard, or sort of a lazy sallow guard. I guess he saw Salo Ribeiro show it. And the guard is this. I fall with the side outside of my knee on my hand around the ankle. The other one hooks behind the knee on the same leg. I'm on my side here. Okay, and that's the caterpillar guard position. It's somewhat common, depending on who you're rolling with, that a person who sees you in this position sees a little bit of your back and they want to start to occupy that space. So some people will either step deep with their foot or with their knee. I'm going to put his knee down behind me. I'm going to show this from two angles so you see what's going on, but if you stand again, I've got this position set up. Let's say he steps deep with his foot. He steps behind me, I'm going to underhook. Immediately this hand becomes an underhook here, and I'm going to separate his knees by pushing. Basically, I want to roll his foot over the pinky edge of the foot and roll him away. If a person is in front of me but steps deep, I can underhook and create a hook right here with my hand and knock him over right here. I do think it's most common for me to bring my foot inside, which if it's difficult, you can kick their knee up and get up here and start to work a single stacking pass or double stacking pass. Let's take a look at this sweep if he puts his knee on the floor behind me. So I've set up caterpillar. If he puts his knee there, I feel like it's just as good and pretty much the same mechanic. I'm gonna open up his hip and knock him over here. For me, it's common to bring my foot inside here and start to get up to pass. That's if he puts his knee down instead of standing, but you see both. The second sweep we'll look at from caterpillar guard is for the other extreme angle. I would say stepping deep on me completely closes the distance between him and my back. The other extreme angle would be opening up extremely. So stepping his foot back to where I can't see it basically because it's behind his other foot. It's so far back, yeah. So sometimes you'll see people open this angle up this way. If a person does that, I'm gonna reach across and give him just a little bit of contact with my shoelaces. That contact's gonna be just a little percussive. I don't kick my opponent ever, but just a little bit of insistence here, right? With the shoelaces. And the same with this side. I'm gonna put with the knife edge of my foot in the crook of the knee, already starting to reach for the belt. So it's gonna be sort of a kick and a kick. And from here, I can sit Brad down and start to take the back right there. So the second one we're looking at is if my opponent steps back so far, I basically don't see his left foot because he's totally sideways to me. For this, I'm gonna kick across with my shoelaces here, chop this knee, grab the belt, and sit my opponent down right to the back. In Caterpillar Guard, our second sweep is if the person totally opens the angle up, I'm gonna get a kick to the front of this thigh here, chop, hold the belt, and sit my opponent down, start taking the back right there. The third sweep from Caterpillar Guard that we're gonna look at is actually a more common sweep than either of the other two. And it has to do with no extreme angle at all. But in fact, the person just stays in front of me, basically square to me. I see his whole chest, he's not bladed at all. When a person's right in front of me here, I'm looking for the moment when this hip is not guarded. I have a control of his leg on the bottom with this grip here. I'd like a control on the top, but a lot of times people guard that space with their elbow or with their hand. But if he, for example, reaches for my collar or just reaches away from that space, it's a perfect time to set up a knee ankle hip sweep. The movement is actually subtle. My legs don't cross, it's nothing difficult. This one just goes from behind this knee to behind this knee, and this one goes from low to high. I basically now occupy space at the top and bottom of this leg, and because I can push him around here and prevent him from stepping to catch himself with this, I'm able to knock him down. So the third sweep from Caterpillar Guard here is essentially just the knee ankle hip sweep. It's just a timing thing. He has to be facing me where I have access to his hip, but I can see basically his full chest, body's not bladed. And he has to abandon a little bit the space that he would otherwise maybe guard at the top of his hip. Maybe by reaching, maybe by pushing this leg, yes. But this space opens up and it gives me access to the top of that leg. Oop, right here, and I'll just hook behind this one. And it's a standard knee ankle hip sweep for which the get up in my case is at the point of no return for his fall, I'll collapse this leg in and get up to a double under. The last sweep here for Caterpillar Guard is if a guy steps back, but not far enough for me to be kicking his quad, right? And he's occupying the space at his hip. So we're gonna do a modified knee ankle hip. It's gonna be a knee ankle shin. It's gonna be, this one does go to the far knee, but this one instead of going to his hip, which is occupied, is gonna weave into his shin. I'm basically gonna open his knees apart from each other, and when this leg gets light, pull his foot into my armpit. So I open and pull. It gives me a good opportunity, again, to get up this way or knee cut. He angles, but not enough that I can try to take the back, and he's guarding his hip, so there's no knee ankle hip. So I do the knee ankle shin sweep, which is my foot blocks the back of his other knee, and this foot circles inside his knee here, and I open his knees up. When I open his knees, there's a moment when this foot gets lighter, and I'm looking to pull his heel into my armpit. So I open this up, pull this into my armpit. It keeps him from falling too far from me, it helps my get up. That's it for our Monday brain dump this week. Just some intermediate sweeps against a standing opponent. I want to thank Brad again for being here.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Rick.
Hopefully you guys are tuning in too during class time. We've been posting some videos, and I've been learning from Brad. He's been learning from me. It's just a testament to cross-training with other people. Yeah, so stay tuned. And this is the material that we're going to review this week in class is these De La Riva and Caterpillar Guard, or kind of reverse De La Riva sweeps from the bottom guard. Take care.